Hello. So I'm not just a small business owner. I'm not just somebody who is always striving to find better and new and fresh ways to work with marketing and selling so we can all make more money from all the products that we have and we want to sell. I'm also a buyer and a customer. And this weekend, I've just had the worst ever sales experience ever. The worst one I've ever had. I'm there ready to buy. And I've walked out without having spent a penny. I'll tell you more in a second. Okay, so just before we start, hit that subscribe button and the bell so you get all the notifications for all our future videos, and hit the like button. It really, really helps me get seen and get these videos out to see in front of more people. If I could get my words out, it would help anyway. Flipping neck. Okay, so let's ignore that and let's crack straight on. So this weekend, I went out to buy a car. I sat in this car and went, yes, this is the one I want. This is gorgeous. It's brilliant. I love it. It's comfortable. I like the seating position. It's got the gadgetry that I want. It's the price I want to pay. This is the car I want. Now, this was a brand new car. Okay, so I'm sat in it. They've given us the keys and left us to look around the car on our own at this point. And it's like, yay, I like this. And then the time drags on and the time drags on. And it starts to feel a little bit awkward because I'm like, I've got the key. This is a bit weird. And then eventually the salesman came ambling over to us. There was no urgency. There was no wanting to come and talk to us. It was a very much of a plod. Dum. Okay, great start. So he comes over and I'm kind of going, I'm giving you the key because I don't feel quite comfortable having the key. They barely knew who I am. All they've got is a phone number and an email address from me, and they've given me the key for this car. It was a little bit strange to start with. It was a main dealership, I should say, main dealership. So you think that they do know what they're doing. It's a huge one as well. So at this point, I'm kind of expecting him to start to try and talk to me about the car and tell me some things about it and see if they've got any questions or there's anything I want to know. He barely said a word. I had to ask him the particular model that we were looking at. He told me it was the one that actually I wanted to buy. I went, oh, brilliant. That's the one that I actually am interested in. But I know it doesn't come with a rear view camera and I want a rear view camera. And he looks at me and says, oh, it does come with a rear view camera, this one. I'm like, ooh, thinking, brilliant. That's something extra I haven't got to pay for. And that's it really at this point. He would then start to discuss colours because I didn't like the colour. It was in blue and I didn't like the colour. Start to discuss colours and he kind of points a couple of out as we walk towards the showroom. Now, my husband was behind me and he kind of said, I had a bounce in my step. I was on a mission. I'm going, yay! You know that I'm excited to buy something. I had that on. My full body language was, I am excited. I'm here to buy a car. So we eventually go into the showroom and he's barely said a word, this salesman. It is, oh, it's hard work. And it shouldn't be hard work for me. I'm the customer. No pushiness at all. Definitely not your stereotypical car salesman. So we go through, we sit down and he starts to type into the computer. And he types into the computer. And he types into, and he hasn't said a word. He doesn't say a word. And eventually he does say, oh, actually, yeah, you're right. That one doesn't come with the rear view camera. It is an extra. Okay, then. So I knew more about the product. So he's ambled. He hasn't asked me any questions. He hasn't made me feel comfortable. He hasn't told me anything interesting about the car. Definitely no excitement or enthusiasm from him. And he didn't know the product and that particular model, which potentially you could forgive until I tell you something else later on. And then you think, no, he should know it. So again, we're sitting there in silence and he's going through and he's not communicating what it is that he's doing on the computer. He's obviously sorting out a quote. We can sort of see what's going on the screen. He asks a couple of questions about my car and then starts to tick some boxes on the part exchange section that my husband could see. And actually, current car does have cruise control. It he's ticking no to all these boxes. We go, yeah, it's got that. Yeah, it's got that. Yeah, it's got that. So he wasn't even collecting the right information. He was just making assumptions and going through the motions. There was no connection. There was no engagement. There was no communication or conversation happening at all. So he's there going through, and eventually we do get to the point where we're asking, he's telling us the quote. And at this point, my husband actually does ask him about what it's like selling cars during coronavirus. And he opened up a little bit and told us a little bit about how that is and how it's odd that you can't shake hands, and that they actually were in the showroom a little bit earlier before they actually officially opened, and they've got people banging on the doors, and how busy they are right now that everybody seems to want to buy a car. So you think, okay, he started to open up. Great, let's see if this keeps going. It didn't. It didn't at all. He does at one point, actually, I've missed a bit. He did at one point ask me about colour, what my colour preference was, because he wanted to put that onto the quote to know where the money was. And I kind of like, well, actually, I'm not that fussy. What I don't want is I don't want silver. At that point, he stood up and walked over to the board and brought out 2 swatches and went, well, people think they don't like silver, but that's the old one. This is the new one. It's closer to a grey. Yeah, I still don't want silver. So he wasn't listening to me, and I didn't feel he was listening to me in any way, shape or form. And he definitely didn't want to listen to me. There was no conversation happening. So then he kind of gives me the quote. He's not asked me if I want to test drive. He's not asked me, actually, do I even want to buy it? Does he? He doesn't seem to want the sale in any way, shape or form. He's just there to give me a quote as far as he's concerned. And he's doing that as inefficiently and as quietly and uncommunicative, is that a word, as possible. So he's kind of saying at this point of like, this is the one where you think he should have known the model. He's like, I'm bored of selling this car. It's the only one we seem to sell. Everybody wants this car at the moment. Okay. I didn't know what to say to that, if I'm honest. And then his sales manager walks by and has obviously heard that. He went, yeah, 80% of the cars we sell at the moment are this one. I've just finished putting an order through for one, which is basically exactly the same as the one that you're interested in. And then the salesman pipes up, yeah, the next quote I've got to do is basically exactly the same spec as you've asked for, with like a big sigh. Okay. I take the quote and I leave without buying a car. Because for me, part of buying something, particularly a high value purchase, which for me, a car is a pretty darn high purchase, it's part of the experience. I was excited. I wanted to buy this. I want to have a great time as part of my experience. I want to feel that I'm making a good decision. I want to know that I've been given advice and I'm understood, and someone's going, yes, you've made a brilliant decision today. Well done. Go for it. You're going to love this. Instead, I worked out going, okay, what just happened there then? I didn't once get asked any pertinent questions that were either going to lead me towards buying or not buying, because questions work in both directions from a salesperson. It isn't all about pushing you into a sale, not in my opinion anyway. It's about the buyer has to make the best decision, and asking those pertinent questions helps them decide yes or no. It's a decision maker rather than a forced to buy maker. But he didn't ask me any of those. He didn't build up any rapport. Definitely didn't get any trust from me, with the fact that he didn't have any conversation. He didn't know the information about the model and the car and the rear view camera. And if 80% of what they sell is that, and so many seem to like the make and model that I wanted to go for, I really should know that, in my opinion. There were just so many things. There were so many flags. And I'm here to urge you to learn from my bad experience. I'm definitely learning from my bad experience, and a reminder really that it is all about the experience. It's all about asking questions and being interested in the person who's buying your products, whether it's online or in person. If we ever get back to in person, it's always about showing an interest and building up that relationship. It doesn't matter whether it's short and sweet for a low cost product or whether it takes a lot longer for a really expensive product. I basically left there with him saying to me, if you want to order, it's £99 deposit. We can take your card over the phone. Just phone us. I did actually say, so if I want to order, you don't want me to come back in then? And it was, no, you can phone. That told me. So value your customers, respect your customers, do everything you can to help and support them. And actually, that's by far the best way to sell. I think I should call him an anti-salesman, or maybe I just caught him on a bad day. I don't know, but either way, he didn't want to sell me a car, that's for sure, because I just walked out. And I've decided to keep the one that I've got instead, even though the product, when I was sat in the car, it completely sold itself to me. I fell in love with that car. It's just his lack of attention, his lack of care, his lack of interest really just went, yeah, I'm not buying from you. Definitely not. If I do decide to buy that car in the future, I will not be going to that showroom again. Okay, so make sure that you are looking after your potential customer. You're asking questions, you're being inquisitive, you're being informative, and you're helping them with their experience, because that's what it's all about. It's not just about the product, it's all about the experience as well. And if you get both of them right, you're going to end up with some fantastic loyal customers who are out there singing your praises with word of mouth marketing, and you cannot beat word of mouth and recommendation. So it's well worth doing. Otherwise, you end up with somebody doing a video about you or talking about you saying, wow, that was the world's worst experience. I'm so glad I haven't bought from them. I'm not going to name them on video, but flipping heck, if you know me in person and you live locally, I'll happily advise you as to where not to go to buy your car. Okay, I shall speak to you very, very soon.